Hey moms, are you struggling with belly time for your little one? Well, you're not alone. I hear this all the time in my clinic. And that's why I decided to create Mastering Belly Time mini course, just designed for new moms with infants 0 to 6 months. This is a 30-minute digital video that teaches you why tummy time is important and gives you tips and tricks that you can do to make tummy time so much easier for you and your infant. So if you're ready to transform tummy time from struggle to a wonderful bonding experience for you and your infant, just click on the link in the show notes and start mastering tummy time today. And now back to our episode. Welcome to the Real Life Momz podcast. It is time to take a break from all our to-dos and carve out some time to focus on yourself. I'm Lisa Foster, your host, and today I'm here with fellow mom Karina Wenker. She is a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, and she is passionate about supporting women throughout the stages of motherhood, from preconception to pregnancy, postpartum, and well into motherhood. So today we are here to talk about nutrition for moms. So thank you, Karina, for coming on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I am so excited you're here as well because even this morning, like the first thing I hear this morning is this like commercial for it's called Quit Friday, which is happens to be the second Friday of January, which is in 2 days from our recording. And it's where everyone abandons their New Year's
Mhm.
resolutions. Apparently, it's a thing. I've never
Yeah.
heard of it before, but it's a thing. And I was thinking, wow, how many people have some sort of nutrition goal or wellness goal? And I don't want anyone to abandon their New Year's resolutions like 2 weeks in. So hopefully, one thing we could do today is maybe inspire other moms to stay with their resolutions.
Yes, I hope so too.
Now, you are a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. Do you mind explaining what that is a little bit? Because I know nutritionists and dietitians, but I haven't actually heard that terminology before.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I usually say functional nutritionist. It rolls a little bit easier off the tongue and kind of explains what I do. So the difference is, I would say a functional nutritionist kind of takes the whole person into account. So not just what you eat and like the micronutrients, macronutrients, but kind of what happens in your body as well. So it takes into account your digestion, gut health, because for example, whatever you eat, you might not be absorbing properly. So gut health is and digestion is really important. It also is different in every person. People react differently to the same foods. So for some people, say bread might really spike your blood sugar. For other people, it's fine. Or
Mhm.
people might have sensitivities or allergies. So it really takes into account your whole body. And yeah, so and I would say like the basics are really digestion and blood sugar regulation. And then everything kind of comes from there. And also like just your nutrient status in general, so that you have all the nutrients that you need. And then when I work with clients as a functional nutritionist, I take into account their health history, any symptoms they might be having, and then we go from there. And it's a really individual approach.
And I love that. I love that you say individual approach because just listening to you, my husband's very sensitive, I think, to gluten and wheat and
Mhm.
stuff. And I think I love that. I think my body loves gluten and wheat. I am kind of gluten full, if that's a terminology. Like I love it. And my body seems to do okay with it. But, he's always coming up with stuff and showing it. And I'm always like, well, I don't think that's for me, but it's probably for you. And
Mhm.
I know there's like these very different diets, right, out there. There's so
Mhm.
many. And I like that you're saying it's like, we really need to look at who you are
Yeah.
because even though something might be good for someone, it might not be good for you because you might have allergies. It might be the way you're absorbing something, right? So not good for everyone.
Mhm.
What's your take on some of those things out there that seem to like one size fits all?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, yeah, it's interesting that you're saying it, comparing your husband and yourself as well, because I think especially men and women are so different. And that's why I'm so passionate about like the women's health and nutrition for women, and especially throughout kind of their life cycle, throughout preconception, prenatal, postpartum, and then going into perimenopause and menopause, because like for ourselves, it kind of changes along the way as well. But yeah, I feel like there are those trends out there, like for a really long time, like keto and low carb and those things were very popular, or intermittent fasting. And it's great for some people, but especially I feel like women were, it's not always that great for them because of the impact it can have on hormones. So probably not your husband, but
Yeah.
oftentimes I've seen like husbands or like men in women's lives kind of say, oh, you just eat less, like fewer carbs, or just intermittent fast, and it'll be really easy to lose weight, or you'll feel like the clarity, mental clarity, and it doesn't really work for everyone. So that's why I really love the individual approach. And also, just what I've been really excited about recently is just that women are kind of like stepping into their power and like taking in more protein and going to the gym and just like honoring what they need more than they have before. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so I heard you talk a little bit about the pre-conception phase,
Mhm.
postpartum, and then motherhood, maybe even breastfeeding in there, right? So are there different nutritional needs for different phases of, let's call it motherhood?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say during preconception, prenatal, it's like we just need more calories for one. And I know there's a lot of debate about if meat is healthy for us or if it isn't, but I'm like, one thing I'm very convinced is that during preconception, prenatal, we just like any animal protein can be really beneficial for us because it's just so nutrient dense. It's really rich in iron and all the B vitamins and healthy fats and things like that. That's something I would say is definitely different in like that phase of life. And then there are other phases where maybe it's not as important to take in all that food. But, and then another thing is just, yeah, taking care of your gut health and detoxification pathways as well. Because I mean, I think I heard a stat that we're exposed to 200 chemicals a day in modern life, which is a little scary. But, and obviously it's not all super toxic, but it does, like even things that aren't very toxic can disrupt your hormone function. So it's important that, like, because we can't really avoid everything. Obviously, we can make healthier choices, use less toxic cleaning agents and things like that. But we need to make sure that our detoxification pathways are really open. And that means like our digestion works well because we do detoxify through bowel movements or and through sweating and things like that. So I think that's really important during that phase of life as well. It's always important, but especially important if you're growing a baby inside of you. And yeah, and then just healthy fats like from fish, like the omega-3s, really important as well, just for when you're when you are pregnant, for your baby's brain development, but also before, just for good egg quality. So yeah, so all of that is really important during that phase.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the 200 chemicals that I have to detox a
Yeah,
day.
I need to fact check, don't quote me, but I think that's what I've read.
It's still like
Yeah.
frightening. Moms are just in it and we're just trying to get by. Like my actual nickname in my house right now is Leftover Lisa because I eat everything in the house that is left
Mhm.
over. I'm like, oh, we got to get rid of this. And I mean, we try to buy healthy food, but I definitely it's, quick and easy. Sometimes we just need that. Are there some signs that I might, or someone might not be getting the nutrition they need? Like, is there like brain fog or fatigue? Like, what are the signs that I should say, oh, wow, I need to check my
Mhm.
gut health, things like that?
Yeah, so definitely what you were saying, brain fog, just feeling very tired, especially when you feel like your sleep is actually pretty good. Because I know when you have very little children, like I'm in that stage right now, you don't always get a full night's sleep. So, like, if I wake up tired, I know why. But if you feel like you actually get your 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and you still feel really tired, for sure there might be like a B vitamin deficiency or vitamin D, or some other imbalance in your body. So that's for sure something to look out for. And if you feel tired after exercise, because it should be energizing us. So that's like a sign there might be something not quite right. And then cravings for certain foods. It's quite interesting. Like even things like if you like crave a lot of chocolate, that could be a sign of blood sugar disbalance, like imbalance, but it could also be a sign of a magnesium deficiency. So there are lots of kind of small things. Yeah, certain cravings can really point to deficiencies and that your body just kind of is trying to get those nutrients from somewhere else.
I'm listening to you and I'm like, well, aren't we always fatigued? Right. And so, is there like a question that you can like ask yourself in the moment to know if like I need to do something different or am I just tired because
Mhm.
I'm working, I have kids, and you're juggling all the things? Is there like a question that you would know the difference between I'm just tired? And I did hear about the exercise. I thought that was a good one.
Mhm.
And also, if you've gotten sleep and you're still tired, but is there anything
Yeah.
like, yeah, how do I check in and say, okay, maybe I need to go see somebody or do something
Mhm.
differently?
Yeah, yeah. I think if you notice that afternoon slump, that could be a sign as well. And it doesn't have to be that you need to go see someone, like it must, but there's definitely something in your routine that you could change, like in terms of the like maybe composition of your meals, like that you take in more protein and fat and less like fewer carbs or kind of combine them differently, for example. So that could be something as well to look out for.
Yeah. Now you talk a little bit about kind of that. I'm kind of getting a blood sugar balance feel from
Hmm.
you.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about what is blood sugar balance? Why is it
Mhm.
important? And I guess the end result, like, how do we even balance it?
So blood sugar balance. So whenever you eat something that has any carbohydrates in it, so that could be from starches or sugars, you take in like your body converts that into glucose. Like sometimes it's straight glucose if it's straight sugar, but sometimes if it's a starch or even something like bread, it converts it into glucose, and that's blood sugar. And we need blood sugar for energy. So we need that. It's a good thing, first of all. But then our pancreas produces insulin, which is a hormone to keep the sugar, the glucose in our blood in balance. And that's really important for us to feel right, like to feel balanced. Because if we have too little, we get really fatigued. If we have too much, we're like really riled up, like we get those like energy surges and then drops. So, and we want our blood sugar to be like balanced throughout the day, and we don't want that like roller coaster. So basically that's kind of like where we want to be. And the thing is, like with like our modern life, like all those highly palatable foods, a lot of quick carbohydrates, and even stress. So like there's also a connection to stress and caffeine even, and different people react differently to stress or caffeine. So it might not be an issue for some, it is for others. But through that, our blood sugar and hormonal balance gets really like sometimes really imbalanced, and we have like was saying earlier, that roller coaster sometimes where we feel like we have a surge of energy, but then we feel like we need another snack, so we have that snack and we feel good again, but then it drops again and we feel really hungry or tired. And yeah, and that can lead to exhaustion basically, and that can lead to that you can actually not really like our body can't really produce the insulin we need, or our body doesn't really react to the insulin we have, so that yeah, our blood sugar gets more and more imbalanced, and that has an effect on our whole body, on energy, on even our hormonal balance and other organs like the thyroid. It just can, and then
Mhm.
in worst case it can go to like pre-diabetes and diabetes and even heart disease. So yeah.
No good.
You don't,
Yes.
no, no good. You don't want to get there. No, no,
No.
but yeah, but even if you notice those energy slumps, that's like a first sign that to look out for and thinking about how you could have your
Yeah.
blood sugar a little bit more balanced throughout the day.
Yeah. So, are there simple ways that you recommend
Mhm.
balancing your blood sugar?
Yeah, one of the first things I really recommend is taking a look at your breakfast. And usually it's better to go savory. than sweet because
Mm.
sweet usually means higher in sugar, obviously, and you won't might not be as satisfied after and then grab more snacks throughout the morning. But
Mm.
you can still have something with fruit. But the important thing is that you add high protein foods and fiber because that will slow down how you like the way your body absorbs the glucose, and then you won't really have those blood sugar spikes. So I always recommend if someone really likes a sweeter breakfast, like maybe like oatmeal with some berries, to add maybe some Greek yogurt, which is really high in protein, and then maybe add some additional seeds for fiber, just so you don't really notice that blood sugar spike as much. But yeah, breakfast kind of like sets the foundation for the day and makes you feel more satisfied, have fewer cravings later in the day, and you're just more likely to make better choices at later meals as well if you have a good breakfast. And then the other thing is if you have a snack, I would always recommend not to just have something that is just a carbohydrate.
Mm.
So just a piece of fruit or just some crackers or something like that. I would always recommend it to pair it with a source of fiber or protein. So, for example, if you have an apple, maybe put some nut butter on it. Or if you have some, I don't know, some berries, maybe add some cottage cheese to it, have some cottage cheese topped with berries, for example, or have some crackers and hummus or things like that instead of just having the carb, because then it'll be a lot more satisfying and a lot more stabilizing for our blood sugar.
Can you just have the protein piece
Yeah,
or the
yeah, for
fiber
sure.
piece without,
Yes,
like, that's okay. It's just
yeah,
not
that's
having a
fine.
carb by yourself.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's just not having the carb. And I think some people do really well with like, lower carb and just protein. Some people, depending on, what you do, how active you are, maybe if you're an athlete and like very active, like especially endurance athletes, they do need more carbs. So I feel like they might not do as well with just the protein. But in general, yes, for sure, you can just have the protein. Yeah. Yeah, and I
Okay.
think you'll feel a lot better than if you just have if you only have the carb. And then another thing is just after a bigger meal, maybe go for a walk or just incorporate some kind of movement. Like it doesn't even, I mean, we're in Colorado in the winter, it can get cold and snowy, so we might not be able to go out for a walk, but do something like to just use up that glucose in your muscles. So
Mhm.
maybe do some squats or do a plank or something like that. It just can help stabilize that blood sugar a little bit more as well.
Yeah, and motion helps with digestion as well, right? Like so taking a
It
walk
does.
actually
Yeah.
helps the digestive
Yes.
tract do
Yes,
its
it
job.
does. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to turn a little bit because I know you have something going on, and I think it's starting soon. It's that breakfast balance or balance your breakfast, something you're doing,
Yes.
right? Can you tell
Yeah.
us a little
Yeah.
bit about that? Because people might want to
Yes.
jump on board to that.
Yeah, that actually fits really well because we were just talking about breakfast
Yeah.
and balancing your meals. It's actually already going on. It's right now. It's just for the whole month of January. So it's the Balanced Breakfast Challenge. And the goal is for everyone who participates to have at least 25 grams of protein at breakfast, which for all the reasons we talked about before, just because the foundation for the day, it'll help with blood sugar regulation. Protein in general, I feel like women often consume not enough just because of the way we were conditioned. And I think it's great that we're starting to prioritize it a little bit more because it has so many benefits for us. And yeah, so that's the goal. Just have a breakfast with 25 grams of protein. And if you sign up, you get some emails and like with some guidance, how you can track that and recipes, some grocery lists, some swaps. So for example, like if you usually have a lower protein food, like what could be a good alternative to that? And yeah, and I'm just kind of trying to like inspire people to have more balanced breakfasts and kind of go away from that cereal or like, I don't know, bagel or something like that, which is all delicious. But yeah, just have something a little bit more balanced. And obviously, even better if you add some fiber to that or even some vegetables or something like that.
That's awesome. So where can they find that challenge?
So yeah, so you can either find it on my website on the homepage. There's a link to the challenge, and then you can sign up. And then also my Instagram. So I'm also posting my own breakfasts every day in my Instagram stories. And if you go to the link in my bio, you can just sign up. And yeah, and if it's not January anymore, I don't know when people listen to this. I'm planning on making it something that people can participate later on. It won't be live anymore, so they won't be seeing me sharing my own breakfasts, but there will be a highlight in my Instagram and there will be ways where they can find it.
Great. And I'll have your website so that people can just click on the link in the show notes and get right to that challenge if they're listening to this in real time so that they can start it. I'm
Awesome.
going to start it tomorrow. That's what I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
do because
sign up to it. Yes, for sure.
I'm
Yeah.
a oats girl, I'm a
Mhm.
oatmeal girl, I'm a cereal girl, I'm a yogurt girl. So that's a lot of sugar and and carb, right? So I
Yeah.
am definitely needing to do this. So that's
Yeah.
great. Now, how can we make this as simple as possible
Mhm.
for moms? Like, if we're going to start doing something today, what are some simple things that moms can do today to really boost their nutrition easily?
Mhm. Yeah. So I think like one really simple thing we haven't really talked about yet is hydration. So drinking water, which sounds so easy, but I feel like isn't always easy, especially if you're a mom, because sometimes you forget. And especially if you, like us, live in Colorado where it's dry and we're at altitude, it's even more important that we drink water. And there are lots of strategies, obviously, but maybe just having a big water bottle and filling it up at certain intervals, maybe setting a timer and just remembering to drink water is really important. And you might even want to add some electrolytes to that water as well, because that helps us absorb the water better. Like our cells need some minerals, and those are those electrolyte minerals to absorb the water. So that will really make a difference. And that will also help with energy, because sometimes it's as simple as like you're dehydrated, like even with headaches or low energy. It's not always something really serious. Sometimes it's just needing to be hydrated. That's one thing.
And I actually heard once that someone said that sometimes hunger, like you feel hungry, but you're actually
Mhm.
thirsty.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so that's interesting. All right, I'm going to turn the page on electrolytes because I get this word all the time. You need
Mhm.
electrolytes. I don't understand that. Like,
Mhm.
tell me a little bit more about the electrolytes, why I need them.
Mhm.
And like, I feel like I get a lot of this little, like someone gives me a little supplement packet of
Mhm.
electrolytes, but it seems very like sugary and maybe very
Mhm.
salty. So, what are also good electrolytes? And are there some more natural choices than just like a little packet that you put in your water?
Yeah, so electrolytes are minerals that have an electrical charge.
Mm.
And yeah, and we need them for fluid balance. So they're really important for our bodies. Without them, will work. We need them for our cells to function. And I do really like, especially where we are here in Colorado, I recommend them just because we get a lot dehydrated a lot easier. I also really recommend electrolytes for pregnant women because with pregnancy, you just have more fluids in your body. So otherwise, your fluid balance will be off. And then with athletes as well, because if you sweat a lot more, you need to replenish more, and that's where electrolytes get lost as well with the fluids. And yeah, I agree. There are lots of brands out there that are very sugary. So that's the first thing I would look out for. Look for brands that don't have sugar. There are some with more natural sweeteners like stevia or monk fruit. So there are some of those, and but some of them still have a really sweet taste. And there's some natural as well. I know Element does a raw version, which is unflavored, which just tastes salty. But that's one of the brands that is also quite salty. So if you're not an athlete, or it might be a little bit too high in sodium, it really depends. But what you can do like just at home is actually mix your own electrolyte powder. So you can, or just mix your own electrolyte drink. You can put in some natural salt, like something like a kosher salt or sea salt, and then a source of potassium. So that could be cream of tartar that has potassium, or some coconut water. And then some magnesium. So magnesium you can get in powder form. I really like magnesium glycinate. It's a really great form, and you can get it powdered and add some of that. So you kind of have your own homemade electrolyte.
Oh, I like that. And are there certain amounts to put in? Like, do you have that anywhere on your website or anything
I
like
do.
that?
I do
Yeah.
actually have a blog post on my website which has a recipe for your homemade electrolyte drink.
Okay, well, I'm going to check that out. I think we
Yeah.
should all check that out. That's awesome. All right, well, tell us where the listeners can find you and what you actually offer.
Yeah, so my website is realfoodroots.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at Real Food Roots. And then I work with clients one-on-one. So I have two programs, one-on-one nutritional therapy programs. One is, I call it Fertile Foundations, and it is for anyone who's trying to conceive, maybe having some struggles with fertility or early on in their pregnancy and just wanting that support, that nutritional support. And we just work on the nutrient stores, on the foundations, detoxification, and just laying the foundations for a healthy pregnancy and natural conception. And then the other program I have is, I call it the Nourished Mother. And that's for anyone, like it could be early postpartum, it could be much further along in motherhood. And it's just like, first of all, like repleting those nutrient stores and then balancing your blood sugar, working on your gut health, and yeah, and your natural cycles like hormonal balance as well. So that's yeah for anyone else. And I yeah work with clients one-on-one. So you have that one-on-one support really. We dive really deep into your health history, into your symptoms, into your food journal. So like we said in the very beginning, it's very individual. Yeah, but just yeah, just want to be really supportive and work kind of meet you where you are and what you can do right now.
And you're also virtual, so people can work with
Yes,
you anywhere in the world, which is so great.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so much fun. I learned so much about everything, honestly. And I'm going to start your challenge
Yes.
tomorrow. On
Yes.
Quit
Sign up.
Friday, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution and actually start a resolution instead of quitting
That's
one.
amazing. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. On that, actually, I think yesterday I read that when you start a New Year's resolution, you should always look at what you can add into your life instead of what you want to cut out, and
Mhm.
that you're much more likely to succeed with that resolution. So if you add balanced breakfasts and protein into your life, I'm sure you'll succeed.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And this year, my New Year's resolution board, my vision board, I decided to put it on a whiteboard for the first time. And it's monthly. So I actually write my New Year's resolutions every month so that this way I can keep on track. I don't forget about them. And then I can be like just a work in progress.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Well, thanks again for coming. It's been so lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to learn more about Karina, just click on the link in the show notes and make sure you take advantage of that balanced breakfast challenge that's going on this January. To join, just click on the link in the show notes. And until next week, keep carving out time for yourself. Make sure your body is getting the nutrition that you need. And remember, the most important thing on your to-do list is yourself.